357 Magnum versus 10 millimeter versus 44 Magnum and our jacketed soft point ammunition. I actually get a lot of questions on this ammo, or not necessarily this ammo, but they ask a lot of questions. People ask questions like, hey, what should I use for personal defense? But I also might encounter black bears, cougars, stuff like that. And my response is generally, you want to get a jacketed soft point because it has the penetrating power almost of a hard cast bullet, but because the tips of them are soft, you get a little bit of mushrooming, which is kind of like hollow point expansion, but not a hollow point. So it really is a good go between. Even this box of ammo here says deer and black bear on it somewhere. I think right there. So that's really what it's designed for. And 357 Magnum 158 grain jacketed soft point is actually the original 357 Magnum load. So with our 357 Magnum, I happen to have some American Eagle 158 grain, and you know that's the industry standard. Basically, about 1235, 1240 feet per second rate of velocity. Our 44 Magnum, again, it's like the industry standard stuff. It's 240 grain jacketed soft point, and pretty much all companies have it right around 1200 feet per second. Our 10 millimeter is a trophy bonded 180 grain jacketed soft point. So these are all pretty much the standard weights for these calibers: 158, 180, 240 grain. So our guns here, I have my 4-inch Smith & Wesson 686, my 4 1/4 inch Smith & Wesson Model 69, and then this guy here, this is my Glock 41 and 45 ACP converted over to 10 millimeter. Has a very thin slide. It's really not designed to run 10 millimeter. The conversion barrel was not particularly good, so a lot of times it jams. So please stop telling me to stop limp wristing my Glock 20. That's a Glock 41. It's gonna jam, but it does work for our ballistic test. And the reason why I picked something like that is because you have basically the same overall size gun to a 4-inch revolver. So I'm going to go through the chronograph, see what kind of velocity and accuracy I get at the same time. Then I'm going to do my big dangerous game ballistic test here. I have a thick layer of hard carpet here. I have 6 inches of clear ballistics. And behind that 6 inches of clear ballistics, I have a 1/2 inch medium density fiberboard. So normally I do 3 inches and a 1/4 inch of MDF. I'm doing 6 inches and a 1/2 inch, so I'm doubling it up. I have all this clear ballistics, and then I have a piece of 3A body armor with some plywood in front of that just to stop the bullets in case they go through. And then I'm gonna shoot from no closer than 25 yards at my full-size steel silhouette. You know, that's a good representation of anything dangerous, your kill zone on a big animal, stuff like that, or, you know, a two-legged attacker. So let's get started with this test. All right, let's see what kind of power we get. We're gonna run through the chronograph. I'm gonna do a 3-round averages, and first up are one of our favorite rounds here, our 357 Magnum. I know a lot of you guys love this round, so let's see what the original Magnum will do. 4-inch barrel. $11.83. $11.97. $11.81. Pretty good power. So let's move on to our 10 millimeter, see what that does. All right, 10 millimeter 5.3 inch barrel, 180 grain. Let's see what this will do. $13.07, and you have some issues like I was thinking would happen. That's a pretty powerful round though. That is extraordinarily powerful. 1307 feet per second on a 180 grain bullet. We'll keep going with this. $12.98, very consistent magazine drop. $12.80, so that's pretty consistent and very powerful. Let's try our 44 mag now. And if you've wondered, I've changed everything on that 10 millimeter. I have 3 different magazines, they all do that. I've changed the magazine release spring, I've changed everything. That's just how the polymer interacts, so with 10 millimeter. So let's try our 44 Magnum now, see how this will do. $12.32. $12.12. 1200, so very powerful round, you know, a lot heavier than that 10 millimeter. So let's hit our Ballistics gel block with all these rounds and just see how they all compare to each other. All right, first up we have our 357 mag, 158 grain jacketed soft point. Let's see what this will do. They're a big game ballistic pack here. All right, let me run it one more time. One more time to confirm those results. Let's go up and take a look. All right, so interesting here, our bottom one there, this is interesting, it went to about 27 inches there. You don't necessarily see a whole lot of damage in there, but on the top one you see a massive amount of damage, and it went to about 26 and a half inches and exited out the top. So, you know, the bottom one, the reason why is it looks like I kind of clipped that on the very bottom there. Next one up is more centered. And you're kind of seeing what you're going to see with a jacketed soft point. You're not going to get as much penetration as a hard cast. You're going to get a little bit of mushrooming, and you know, overall it's not a bad round. So let me try the 10 millimeter now. All right, 10 millimeter through our big game ballistic pack here. Let's see what this will do. Let's try it one more time. All right, one more shot. Go take a look. So that's some interesting results there. And we went through our fiberboard in two different spots here. A lot of debris. So what we're looking at here, a lot more damage than that 10 millimeter. It's interesting because both of these kind of bowed down, and it looks like the first one went to the exact same penetration as that first 357 Magnum 27 inches. But our second one, we had less damage to that bullet. The first one looks like it kind of mushroomed out. The second one, not at all. A whole lot of damage in there. That could be tumbling. I'm not 100% sure, but considering that's backwards, that's probably what happened. So yeah, we got pretty good penetration, and our penetration of our non-expanded bullet is right there at about 30 inches. So that's pretty good penetration. Let's try our 44 mag now. 44 mag, jacketed soft point. See what this one will do. Run it one more time. All right, one more. Let's go up and take a look. All right, so that had the most damage for sure. Here's our impacts. That's a lot of damage. What we're seeing here is it looks like the 10 millimeter at that point, but then it just goes so much deeper. Our first one impacted this. This is a little bit of it's actually particle board. I said plywood earlier, but it's particle board for about a ½ inch or a 3/4 inch, and then behind that is a fiberglass plate. So that successfully stopped that bullet. I'm gonna pull that out right now, and that's typically what you're gonna get with a jacketed soft point. Another one is coming out right here too. So we got pretty consistent damage and everything. But our first one went all the way to, I can't even measure past that point, but it's going to be like something like 36, 37 inches. something like that. And this first one's like at about 30, 35 and a half. So obviously out of all these, you know, they all did pretty well, but they are kind of what we're seeing is stepping it up. You know, 357 did good, 10 millimeter did better. 44 Magnum is a beast. So now I'm going to shoot from, I'll do 25 yards for some practical accuracy and just see what I can get with these. All right, so seeing as this is not really going to be a fair test for that 10 millimeter pistol, I'm just going to fire one round at 25 yards with these and just kind of see what I can get. Center mass with our 357. Center mass, 10 millimeter. Let me try that 44 now. Center mass, 44 mag. Yeah, a lot more power on that plate. I'm gonna double tap a 357, see how it feels for me in speed. This one. 44 mag. Both. I'm going to back up to 75 yards because I'm really curious about what kind of umph these things will have at that distance. That's something I've been curious about for a while, so let me try that. All right, 75 yards from the target. Going to try the 10 millimeter here just for, you know, practical accuracy for like a hunting scenario maybe. Trying to make a shot like this. See what kind of umph it might have on that plate at 75 yards, or that silhouette I mean. All right, so a 10 millimeter definitely has a lot more punch than 9 millimeter, stuff like that. So it's definitely a good cartridge. 357 Magnum. See how this shoots for me. Miss. So not as much umph at that distance as that 10 millimeter, because that 10 millimeter is carrying a lot more weight. So 44 mag. I'm gonna go single action with this. See how this does for me. A little high. High again. Oh. Interesting. Well, at least I got one. That definitely has the most umph on that plate. I don't know why I was missing with that. It seemed a little bit off to me. It's interesting, but at least they got one on the plate so we can kind of see the difference there. So yeah, 10 millimeter versus 357 mag versus 44 mag. You know, it really is a step up one to the next to the next. And what I'm seeing with 10 millimeter is a little more recoil than 357, but not a lot. Our performance is pretty much with a 10 millimeter really close to the 357 mag, but obviously a little more umph there. And our 44 mag is kind of in a different class, so it's kind of like if you had a scale from 1 to 10, and let's just say our power level was like a 5 with the 357 mag, it might be like a 6 with the 10 millimeter and a 10 with the 44 Magnum. They're all pretty high powered cartridges, but you know, the 44 Magnum kind of stands alone, but it does have the most recoil and is the hardest to shoot. 357 Magnum is relatively easy to shoot, so it's one of those things. I think though, personally, if I had to make this decision myself, I would go with the 357 Magnum just because that has the lowest amount of recoil, and that should get the job done just fine for anything that you're facing if it's not a grizzly bear or something. That's just my own personal choice, but that's what you get today. 10 millimeter 357 44 mag soft point. Soft points are good rounds to this day, and they're an economical defensive choice. So that's what you get today. So as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.